Okay, so in this video, we are going to learn uh, large language models and how to create prompts for large language models. So I'll start from beginning, from very beginning, and I'll just create a large language model and start asking some questions. And this question, because it's itself a question like how to create a good prompt in and good prompt engineering, interface. This also we are going to ask to large language model itself. Okay, so I'm going to import use like LangChain for this. So my first task is to create large language model itself. So I'll say from LangChain dot underscore LLaMA. I'm going to import, maybe let's say chat LLaMA. Okay, now using after chat LLaMA, I'm going to create a model. Let's call it LLaMA and say chat LLaMA, and model I'm going to use as LLaMA 3.1, and I'll pass a temperature parameter and it will be 0, so that means it will be picking the highest probable words in the model, and it will be less creative and more exact in its answer. Okay, now we have LLM, and we the simplest thing we can do is to ask a question. So let's say we call LLM dot invoke, and the question that we ask, let's say we ask what is your name. It's a basic question. So let's treat this model as any normal model. Let's not go around the hype and start expecting that it will be doing very big things from beginning, though it can, but let's start simple. Okay, so it will take some time its response. Okay, and it okay, so you see it is returning an AI message which doesn't seem very clean or legible. So let's do some sort of for I mean bet formatting for better representation. So you see it's an instance of class AI message, and it has a content attribute inside. So let's see how we can format this response. So instead of leaving it to Jupyter Notebook on how to display it, I'm going to first capture the response. Let's call it AI message. So this is what it is, and then let's try to just get content part of this message. So content. Okay, that's a little better, but still not very well formatted. So we see there are some structures which suggest that it's markdown. So I'm going to display it as a markdown. So for that I'm going to use the Jupyter Notebook Jupyter Notebook tools itself. So I'll say from ipython.display, let's import markdown, and then we pass, okay, let's run this cell, and then we pass our content in markdown. So let's do it now. Let's message dot content construct, and okay, so I don't have personal name, I'm an engineer. Okay, so now this looks a little more familiar. So okay, so we can have like this structure going on. So whenever we ask question, we can simply capture it in a response like AI message, and then we can pass it to markdown method to format it correctly. Now we already asked what is your name. Let's ask some other common questions. Let's say who are your friends, if it has any, and let's see how does it respond. Okay, So I don't have personal relationship. Okay, fine. So that means we are able to continue making a meaningful conversation. Now let's come to our objective. So we are going to create uh, uh, a good prompt or good way of, okay, so why is prompt important? Because we want to utilize this model in the best possible way by asking the questions in most effective way. So that's the purpose. But okay, so these questions in itself we can ask with LLM. So we can ask what is a prompt engineering, or we can ask what is the process of meaningful conversation with the LLM is called. So let's just ask that. So okay, now let me do one more improvement. So this string, let me take it out and put in a question, in a variable called question, and this becomes this. Okay. So now whenever we'll have to repeat this cell, we'll just change this, and rest of the things will remain the same. Okay, so who are your friends? Instead of that, now we are going to ask how can we communicate in best possible way. I can communicate with you in the best possible way. I think it's able to figure out the minor grammatical mistakes, but okay, let's try to be as accurate as possible. Okay, so we have not passed questions. So let's pass question, and now see how does it respond. Okay, so because it is going to take some time. Oh, I see. So how can we communicate with you in the best possible way? So be clear, use simple language, provide context, use specific examples, okay, etc. Okay, I see. So these are sort of meaningful tips, and if you will explore the literature available, then probably you'll find things in a slightly different way, but more or less the same message will be conveyed there as well. So use specific examples. Yeah, so you know, it's like few short learning, or no short prompting, something. So these are built around that. So they're fancy names. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, use the right tone. Okay, and this is like we need to sort of evaluate. So okay, so when you say correct me, that means we have a criteria to judge. And so these are all the things which we are going to implement using the tools and techniques that is available to us, and some specific communication style like you see here that works well include direct conversation. Okay, list based input. Okay, so these are meaningful advices which we are going to implement next. So to provide context. So now I think we have been following these two things, and so the third, provide context. Okay, so this is something which we have not done. We have not uh, provided any context, right? So before we do that, I mean, we simply came and asked questions, so which can be asked to anyone. But let's say we start following other things like point 3 and 4. But before we do that, we know that it's a prompt engineering. But let's say if somehow the large language model itself can figure it out. So let me just change this question slightly different way. So let's call it, what is the technique to communicate with you in the best possible way is, what is it called? What is the technique best possible way called? Okay, it should, so yeah, so there's a big difference between what is to call, but let's see if it's able to figure out what we are trying to ask. Okay, now it's trying to okay, you see, so it has already given it in a in a different way. So now at least our language model probably it could have understood if it was thinking in same way in which humans do. But yeah, at least now we both know what we are trying to do. So technique you are looking is called input optimization, or more especially optimal input technique. However, I would like to introduce you to more widely used term, prompt engineering. Okay, so you see how the simple concept and common sense travels along route before it becomes a hyped term. And this is fair because it looks like we are going to be in some sort of agreement with our model. I'll stop this and we'll continue on this in next session. Thanks.